Hello and welcome to another episode of Flat Out. Ascot's in the rearview mirror, Jack.
It is, yeah. It's gone by quick.
It zoomed by. I mean, it was a busy week. By the end of it, you kind of get quite worn out a little bit if you're going, you know.
Yeah, we had very different weeks. So I ended up just going home and watching it, having a week of annual leave at the comfort of home back in Northumberland, whereas you got on it for a couple of days and full throttle.
Yes, getting up the next day and going back is something that takes some real constitution to do.
Yeah, for sure.
I did manage it. If I was slightly late, but I did manage it. I got back to Ascot from South London. So yeah, no, it was good, and it was good to see some of our horses to follow running well. It was a tricky week, if truth be told. It's as we said beforehand, it's one of those ones that it's very competitive. It can go either way. It can be a bloodbath, or you've had a number of very successful ones. It was slightly trickier than usual, but it was great to see horses like Esher for me running so well and winning so impressively, and Mickley for you, and a few other horses recently for our horses to follow that have been winning. So.
Yeah, Red Viburnum for you. She won. Rainbow's Edge also won this week. Alma Cam and Aurora Dawn both ran really good races. I think Alma Cam, I think the reason for him, the ground was too quick. But the way he finished, he's definitely one to keep on side of. And Aurora Dawn, she completely blew the start, but
of course,
just I followed it in right to post time, back down to 12s, and she just got it for 6. So that was a good result, because 7th would have been a disaster.
An absolute disaster. Yeah. Right, and now we're on to the Eclipse. Obviously, a fascinating time in the season, isn't it, when July kicks in?
Yes.
And we start to get to see 3-year-olds against their elders.
That's it, yeah. The CORAL-ECLIPSE, sort of the first race where you get the classic generation against the elders, and we should hopefully get to see that with White Birch as being the leading elder horse.
Yes.
It's probably important to note that we're recording Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
It's been announced that White Birch has to come through his gallop on Wednesday morning, which is when we're going to be posting this. So our hands are tied a little bit, so we're going to kind of go on the proviso probably he does run or doesn't.
We have to go on the proviso he runs, but I think it's important to start with City of Troy, and you've got a key question as to how you think he might be ridden.
Well, I think that probably is the focus. He's 1 to 2.
Yes.
It could obviously cut up even further with White Birch not running.
Yeah.
So how do you now, if you're Aidan O'Brien and the lads, how do you now run this race? And we were just talking before we've come on air here. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure he can get away with the waiting tactics that they did at Epsom around a track like Sandown. And I'm going to expect them with a pacemaker, probably Luxembourg, possibly Hans Andersen. And Ryan's going to sit a lot more aggressively and handy and run him maybe 3rd or 4th.
Yes.
Obviously, it depends on the draw as well. If they get a wider draw, then they might have to think again. But
because it surely was something of circumstance that left him so far back in the Derby, because he was drawn 1. Yeah,
it kind of possibly forced the hand to think, okay, then maybe we'll have to go back from stall the coffin box in 1.
And we're going to send the Camelot colt forward like an absolute rocket.
Yeah, and obviously he's backed that form up since.
So you know, they had a clear tactic that they were going to try and make it a real test of stamina, and they were going to drop him in from 1, because that's what they had to do. So I would largely agree with you. I think they'll go back to being more prominent in this race at the weekend.
And going down in trip.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Sandown will hold too many fears for him trip-wise.
No. I really do hope White Birch runs. I would probably,
it's amazing you've come around to this horse, because this horse was obviously a horse last year that I loved,
it is,
you couldn't have him at all most of the year.
Well, it's also the angle of kind of gauging where he is against the others, but it's possibly more I'm not warmed by that Derby performance and the actual level of form for the 3-year-olds. Dancer Gemini was disappointing. He's very short now at 10 to 1, but that's just I
think he's shorter than that. Yeah. a lot in a lot of places.
That's just what we're looking at.
Might be the odd bit.
Yeah, it's short as 6 to 1. Yeah. That suggests now on Tuesday evening that White Birch isn't running. I think that's a contingency. Say tomorrow White Birch comes out for certain. Dancer Gemini is probably not going to move too much from 6s, so certainly wouldn't be getting stuck in at that. You can get 8, so that's it. But yeah, I'd much rather probably Ghostwriter of the other 3-year-olds. I think quick round's important to him. They've kept him fresh enough for this, bypassed Ascot and other targets. I'd certainly be swaying more towards him than Dancing Gemini. But I think ultimately it's hard to get past City of Troy, and the whole makeup of the race just doesn't appeal to me as a bet. And I know that's probably what people are tuning into here, but when you've got 4-9 Derby winner in City of Troy, race probably is going to be set up to suit him again.
White Birch can really put it up to him, I would have thought. I think Sandown's going to be a nice track for him, a nice long straight there that he can really get grinding along. We've spoken about that in terms of run style. I do think the Arc de Triomphe is going to be
long term,
his big day. That where you will hopefully see, if you're a White Birch fan, as I am, the biggest of victories coming that day. I'm not sure this one will be for him.
I have had a small bet on White Birch the week after Ascot. I did tell you that.
You did.
He's now drifting out to that price again. So, like, at this point, you might as well just wait.
But he only just have to come through a little bit of work, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. And the suggestion, that it's his blood work and it's not just he's been working poorly, suggests that he's still not quite sparkling in his work. And when we're in almost the height of summer now, he should really be primed to do well. So they've obviously had maybe a bit of a bug in the stable, or he's just not quite there yet.
Which would suggest you'd want to miss it. There are other options.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point bottoming a horse in against obviously what should be the top 3-year-old this year.
Exactly, on ground where, as much as I said before, I think he's fine on quick ground. He performs on quick ground. I think because he handles soft ground so well, that's his big advantage.
Yeah, you're going to have these second half of the season targets, Irish champion.
Certainly.
As you say, Arc as well. So there's no point not running a horse if you're 100% right. Certainly at championship level like this. So my inkling is he's not going to run, but I guess we'll see tomorrow. Then that's going to be old news. So we might as well move on from White Birch.
I'd be exactly the same. Of all the ones you know are going to run, Ghostwriter is the one that you kind of would stick out to me still.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be most favourable towards, but again, I just don't want to be taking him on. I think the City of Troy is going to win this.
Yeah, no, I think
this is going to be right up his street, right up his Strasse, as Tony Calvin likes to say.
I'd like to get him beat, but I tend to agree with that. It'd be interesting to see if Alriffa run. I don't think he will.
Nope. I think Continuous will take a soft option at Newmarket.
Yeah, very disappointed at Ascot, but it could go for that. The Princess of Wales, I think it is.
Yes. I think he'll go for that and hope to get his season back on track from there.
Opulence Thoroughbreds is a racing and breeding syndicate operating at the highest level, with top quality horses, first-rate trainers, stable visits, social events, and not forgetting your share of the prize money and sales proceeds. Nothing compares to the thrill of watching your horse win. Head to opulencethoroughbreds.com to find out more.
A couple of talking points of the last few weeks. What did you think of Emily Upjohn and Ambient Friendly, the two rides? Maybe that's a topic of discussion for our viewers. What do you think?
Yeah.
Personally, I thought the Emily Upjohn ride was, like, if he almost pulls that off, it's a brilliant ride from him.
Yeah.
All of the 2 days, you couldn't be held up.
Yes.
And he thought, right, I need to go on and I know it was mentioned on Look and Sunday, but she's literally touched 1-33, and just on the day she's been beaten by a better horse. And like Blue Stocking was under the pump. Or do you agree that she's used too much energy in that mid-race move?
Well, I think she absolutely did use too much energy in the mid-race move, and I think because of the fact that she was so slow in the final furlong, shows she was just, she was emptied. But I think that was more to do with the way she races rather than maybe the ride. Like, I think she gets so competitive with other horses. I think it was a fine thing to do. I don't mind people giving rides that you can say weren't efficient when they're trying to do something to counteract something else. People are so easy. You see it all with England at the moment. People who've told you one thing about how you can improve the England team 1 week before. After another game, or after he's done something like that, Southgate, they're telling you something else and not acknowledging that they told you to. They said something completely contradictory the week before. It's all pushing and pulling, isn't it? So
it is.
If he'd have held her up dead last, and she'd have struggled to quicken on the soft ground like she did did at Epsom, probably the best performance.
That's what is on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. Frankie committed her fair soon that day, and fair enough, it was quicker ground, which would make a difference. But She went and beat Westover. Now, he's a much better horse than Bluestock in it.
Absolutely. So clearly she hasn't been maximised to her best, but I think he tried to do something in the race that made total sense to me.
Yeah.
When he didn't think there was much pace. He's gone and tried something, and she's probably got a little bit too competitive whilst doing it and gone a bit too fast in doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that happens in racing.
Ambient friendly?
Absolutely fine ride, and no problem with that.
Yeah.
This horse just doesn't see out the mile and
Yeah, he had every chance, and he's just been outstayed and outbattled.
Yeah, look, he's a travelly thing, isn't he, as well? Over a mile and a half. You watch him, and I was watching him when they came around. A very sharp bend at the car. Very sharp the way they set that bend up. I haven't seen it like that before. But he came round that bend, and you're thinking, how far is he winning here?
Yeah, again.
I thought, just watching it,
I'm just not sure he's a tip-top notcher, as well as not staying.
We'll see, won't we? When he's down to 10 furlongs, we'll see.
Exactly, yeah. But where do you go with him next? Do you go in a Group 2 company, maybe the York Stakes, you bump into an economics? Or do you go Juddmonte, Irish champion, and stay at the top level?
I personally would stay at the top level.
Okay.
I think he's shown enough to stay at the top level.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's been beaten. He's been beaten by 2 good ones now, I think.
No, he has.
And we'll see.
Well, I don't think that was a great Irish derby.
Interesting again. We'll see in time, won't we? But
what do you do now with Los Angeles?
It's not the greatest of races, is it? These days,
no.
It hasn't tended to attract the best fields
for a long time. Yeah.
For a while now.
Yeah.
I think what you do with Los Angeles is a better question to chuck back at you, because you've been telling everyone that this horse is a boat, and Ryan Moore's got off him and said, no, he's not a ledger type. This horse is way too classy for that.
Right. So are we saying that he's going to be their arc horse?
Absolutely. He
is that not a reaction to how poorly Continuous ran?
No, but he would run in the arc anyway.
I think so. Yeah.
This big lad's going to be perfect for it.
But then you're playing chess because you've got Jan Bruegel, who's also won on the weekend.
Yeah.
Still big green thing,
Yeah.
Larry thing, hanging in and gets the job done, workmanlike. He was shortened up on the back of that, and I was more blown away with the first one, but it is obviously another step up, and he's beaten some really good yardsticks there.
Yeah.
Of those two, who would you be more inclined to back for a ledger?
Los Angeles, I think gallop all day.
Okay.
Well,
It's just that
you can't
those
compare.
comments mean that Los Angeles doesn't go.
I know, but you can't you can't compare those two things, can you? You can't look if you're looking at a very promising horse.
Yeah. No, it was more on
And
the
then a
basis of
horse
what you've said there, Ryan Moore, that...
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just I think Los Angeles is one of those horses that you could probably do a lot of things with.
Yeah.
Luxembourg.
Like for me...
These Camelots stay. They have got a bit of class. They can go all the way up. They can go from 10 to a mile 6 quite easily. I don't think there's an issue for this horse.
Yeah.
Trip's not an issue. He's classy. He's fine. And I think he'd be very, very competitive in a St. Ledger. They just have the option to do other things if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Because we know City of Troy is going to, unusually for them, is going to be disappearing off to America.
I suspect that...
Not necessarily unusually, but you know what I mean. It's not typical.
It's going to open the path for them to stay here. Like, I suspect Jan Bruegel will be the one for the Voltigeur.
Yeah.
Los Angeles could go for that. Is it Grand Prix de Paris?
Yeah.
Group 1?
Yeah.
That makes sense for him, and then... I still think they might run him in the Ledger, personally.
We'll see.
We will.
But, I don't think Rab or Kieran deserved too much abuse for those
It didn't
rides.
feel like there was as much pile-on as maybe there had been previously. I don't think it was too bad.
Good. That's great. So I think we should probably kick on to any other business on the rest of the card.
Yeah, Sandown. The only other bet at this stage that I've had is Kitty Rose, and she ran a really good race in the Sandown. It was her first run for nearly 2 months. It was over 2 months. Sorry, ran a good race, 9 stone 9, welter burden on her back. She was a little bit fresh, I think. She hung a bit. I think she'll come on a touch for that. It was her first run for New Connections. They were doing it from Australia, out of a satellite yard in Newmarket. They've had a bit of time now. Benefit of that run. And I'm just surprised in the discrepancy of Soprano 2s to her at a general 4s. You can get 5s with Ladbrokes and Corals on the high street. So if you can get that 5s, obviously in shop or on the app, then I'd go for that. I just think that form, obviously at the start of the season, she split a Lilac Roller and I think Buttons.
Yeah.
They've since come 2nd and 4th in the Irish Guineas.
Yes.
That's excellent form that's been consolidated since. She's ran a really good race. Obviously, Soprano's beat her. Yeah. Completely different dynamic here. And I think this track will suit Kitty Rose. I think in time she'll probably get a bit further as well. So, and as I say, that fitness edge of getting that run into her now, connections are getting to know her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think I'd have them a lot closer in terms of price. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I like Roller. So yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I mean, what a absolute solid filly you'd love to earn. I'd love to own. And so yeah, no, that is good form as you say in the Irish Guinea. So I can see what you're saying. Yeah,
just in terms of the others, Indelible isn't likely to run. She's not jocked up at the minute.
Yes.
There is a little bit of blue about, so she would have to command respect. Obviously, she probably would have won on her side of it. Very unlucky. Well, there was so many. Which side do you want to be on? But yeah, she was probably the one of the whole week I thought, Jesus, if she was on the right side, she probably would have won. So at this moment, she isn't jocked up. I looked, but she could be a fly in the ointment. But at the moment, it's Katie Rose, the one I've backed.
Makes total sense to me. And so you're telling me there's nothing else on the card?
Not on the Sandown card, no.
Well, how do you view, so if we're going to go and skip on to the Coral Charge, how are we looking at living the dream this summer?
I could not have him here.
Yes.
Like, you've got to have him at a speed track. I think Believin', the Bowie filly as well, she'll be very interesting back on a speed track as well. She ran 2 massive races at Ascot.
Yes.
But for me, looking at her, Haydock Sprint Cup and the Nunthorpe, the 2 races for her, and Living the Dream, obviously the Nunthorpe, where you can just get out on front and play catch me if you can. Sandown is just not going to lend itself to that. And a 2-to-1 here, he's making the market for something else. Twilight calls
He's a solidly on the naughty list for good.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
I think. Can we just wash our hands?
Exactly. And a 3-to-1, Candy still hasn't had a winner.
The market is it's set up, isn't it, for a bet? This.
Go on then.
I really like Desperate Hero.
Okay.
That was a massive, massive time figure he ran at Hamilton the other day.
Where has that come from, though?
I don't know. But it was on the clock. It was extremely impressive.
No doubt.
On profile, it's not similar, not a dissimilar jump to what Living the Dream did at some point. These sprinters can just get into a form and where they start to kind of improve. I mean, he absolutely slammed everything in that handicap ridiculously. All the other pace faded away, and he was grinding and going again and again and again. It was a massive time figure. A time figure to literally compete with anything that the top of the market have run to since Living the Dream and the Nunthorpe.
It almost feels too good to be true, though.
But it can't be too good to be true when it was that good a time.
But even
when it was so fast.
I think Callum Rodriguez rode it.
Yes.
And in his post-race interview, he was like, Jack Shannon said that, like, he should be competitive, but it just felt to me like it was a shock to even them.
Well, I think it could be a massive shock. It was a massive shock.
It's just another step up. But like, if you can go and back it up again, then absolutely you'd be a believer. Probably of those, Makarova. She ran really well in this last year.
She's run well at the track, hasn't she? She caught my eye too.
Things didn't kind of pan out at Ascot there last time, and I think she's got sneaky bits of form. That French Group 1 form at the back end of last season wouldn't be a surprise. But she
does have bridesmaid vibes to me.
She does, yeah, and that's why it's just not a betting race for me.
I would rather take a flyer, like just a win-only flyer on Desperate Hero. I don't think he's an each-way proposition.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Let's see if this is a journey we're going to go on here.
Okay.
Because that was something impressive. So I'll be having a small win-only bet on Desperate Hero myself.
Okay.
But even there, like, just go down to Emiratiana at 9s and 6. It's like there's a lot of fairly unappealing.
There is, yeah.
Slightly kind of middling horses in here, so it wouldn't take too much to win this race.
Yeah,
potentially. Obviously, Living the Dream could run really, really well.
Yeah, you should.
Best
Like
horse in
he's
the race by far.
He is, but it's that last half furlong. Is he
Exactly.
going to be paddling? I think he might be.
And I'm hoping Desperate Hero's going to pick him up.
Fair enough.
So we're kicking on. We are kicking on, and to a race that last year went quite well.
Yeah, this time last year you were flying, weren't you?
Yeah.
Winner of this race.
Good old days. And he's at the top of the market again for it.
Yeah. Are you going in again on Perotto?
Absolutely, I am, yeah.
You are, yeah?
Yeah.
£8 higher this year. Does that not temper enthusiasm?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
Only because I think the track really suits him. Obviously, he ran really well there to win this race. Really impressive performance.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was an incredible run in the Hunt Cup.
Yeah, brilliant run.
Huge mark. And then he's gone up £1 for that.
Which is...
I think we take that.
Lenient,
We will take that every day of the week. Repeating just shy of that.
Shall I just clip up last year's and just put in the same case this year?
Basically.
Could do.
You could exactly do that.
Yeah,
I just can feel it happening again to me. It just feels like I think he should be a 3-1 favourite for this race, and he's 5-1 William Hill.
He's getting there now, but I think that's probably the Ryan Moore factor just edging him down as well.
He's going to be ridden by Ryan Moore. I mean, I think he has a very solid case because of the fact that he's run very well off this much higher mark. He seems like a horse I think that can win. And I just looked through this race. He looks like a horse I think can win off this rating. I looked through this race and I just didn't like anything. We're going to look. Point Linus is probably the only pace in the race, real proper pace. But there are a few that want to sit handy. But there are also some right little deviants in here as well.
Go on.
Like just the likes of Holloway Boy. The likes of Knight, there's a load. You go through them all. There's just, I think there was 6 I counted that had broke slowly, fallen out the stalls, hung right, hung left. There's some. It's not a race where I had any kind of shortlist at all.
Holloway Boy did go in my tracker on how he ran there at Ascot.
Yes, yeah, he ran okay.
So I'm thinking, why are you not going for the international there in a few weeks?
Yes.
On King George. They're coming here to a track which he clearly just wants a galloping 7 furlong, like Ascot. It's tailor-made for him. Won the Chesham. He ran so well there the other day, no run. And now you come into a track where you're likely to get a bit more trouble in running.
Absolutely.
For a hold-up horse. And yeah,
Perotto's a travelly thing. I think he'll travel into it nicely. He'll be away. He'll be ridden fairly prominently.
Yeah, just in touch with leaders like he did last year. Yeah,
and he won't. I could see it happening where you won't have too many worries.
You do have some course form there though. 2 Tempting Classic and Dual Identity were the 1, 2, 3 over us in a similar handicap.
But are there marks? Are they getting towards the point now?
Well, 2 Tempting's just a horse transformed for Johnny Portman. He's thriving at the minute. Classic won on this card last year.
But he's a tricky customer to get to win.
Yeah, but like he's still improving, and Dual Identity loves the track.
True.
It's really competitive, but I would tend to agree with Perotto in that you could see him running in those sort of Group 3 list of races in the second half of the season.
I'd be disappointed if he wasn't good enough on that Hunt Cup performance to beat these horses off their marks.
Well, there is a sneaky one, which we have talked about before earlier today, and that's Cicero's Gift, who could still be a Group 1 horse. I think you could still probably put him in the bracket of could be anything.
Yeah.
It would be a huge performance to come after such a long absence.
Massive absence, yeah.
But I mean,
if he's as good as beating Docklands, a mark of what, 107 is it? I mean, is hardly going to be.
And there is little bits of blue about.
There are a little bit. So there's a little sneaky little nibbles suggesting that they fancy him a little bit. But I just can't. I mean, I'd take a punt any day on against a horse like this.
I'd be interested to see the market reaction to Cicero's, but it's just a no-bet race for me, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. Well, you don't have to go.
It's very competitive. But
don't have to go, I'm afraid to me. You have to do it to the very disappointed viewers that aren't getting a bet for the weekend.
Well, they've got Kitty Rose so far.
They do have Kitty Rose. Right, do we have anything else? I think we should probably shift over to the Haydock card.
Yes, the only bet at Haydock at the moment, again, we're on Tuesday evening, but there is quite a bit of rain about.
Yeah.
And Eyeline was very impressive there, winning at Haydock a month ago.
Definitely.
We had Wise Eagle in the race. We got the tactics all wrong. Danny rode. I don't think he could do the weight on Eyeline, hence why he rode for us, which is great. He got off and said, we got the tactics wrong. We have to hold them up, which is what we're going to do next time. But before the race, Danny did just mention this iron line. He said, I think they would want a bit more cut in the ground for him, because it was just edging on the good to firm side. And they'd had showers that morning. And I think, well, as you've seen the race, he was really impressive. That rain in the morning probably helped him get away with it. He's since disappointed on genuine quick ground. I think you can put a line through it on that basis. Yeah. It's annoying to miss sort of the really fancy prices, 20 to 1.
Juicy ones, yeah.
But with this rain about, I can only see him shortening further, and he's 12s across the board now. Yeah. After he won at Haydock that day, they were thinking races like the Ebor, the Melbourne Cup. And Danny did say we had to respect him, but maybe the ground would find him out. Yeah. Obviously, it didn't on the day, as I've just said, but I think this is a horse that's thoroughly on the upgrade, and with ground in his favour, if they get quite a bit of rain this week, which is forecast, up to around maybe 10 mils, if it comes up on the good to softer side, that'll really suit him, and I think at 12s, certainly compared to Laver and Jack Nicol, who's like a third of the price, of the two, I'd definitely be with Eyeline in that respect. But I mean, it's such a valuable race that it's no surprise that the likes of Laver and Jack Nicol have skipped going to Ascot for this, and it's a great pot, and it's one of their big days, I suppose, Haydock. So
definitely,
it's a good race. And
then there's the Lancashire Oaks, of course. I don't have a massive strong view on the race. I wouldn't be advising a bet, but I'm keeping an eye on Sweet Memories. Okay. It's a horse obviously I liked last year. I put up the fillies and mares. I thought she ran a massive race behind Time Lock at Newmarket. Yeah. It was a very good time performance from Time Lock that day, and she did really well to close from the other side. And she kind of had to hang across the track to kind of get anywhere near Time Lock. It was all happening away from her, and I thought she ran a really good race. She then went probably it was a bit much to then run her in the fillies and mares at the end of the season. Yes. And we just have to see how she comes on this year, and this is a lot to be biting off very early on, and we know how the Gosden horse, well, the Gosdens in general, have been fairly steady away through the spring. They're starting to get going
just now. In the last week or two.
Yes. And so we might see her run well, but still as a filly, I think she's one that's going to come on through the year. Yeah. And probably will be more one for the autumn starting out in this. I think they'll just hope she'll run well. But she's one I still want to keep a very sharp eye on for the rest of the year. Very good. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, the only other thing to mention for me on the last race at Sandown, Silver Sword.
Of course, yeah.
Back in a handicap since he absolutely dotted up at York. I think he could be interesting. Yeah. Fair enough, they probably had a swing in a couple stakes races. For whatever reason, he's underperformed, which has been a little disappointed, but I think quick round, back in a handicap, might just spark him back into life. So I'll be interested to see the prices on him.
Brilliant. As will I. Horse I like a lot. Dylan Cunha, man on the up.
Yeah. Very underrated trainer.
Indeed.
He's very good, isn't he?
Absolutely. He's one to certainly be keeping an eye on going forward. Right. I think any other business?
I think we're all sorted, yeah. Maybe a quick summary of our bets.
Summary of the bets. Well, Perotto for me is best bet of the weekend. Okay. I know he's fab, but he's still 5-1.
Yeah, Katie Rose win for me. And Iron Lion each way. I really do like him, particularly if the rain does come.
Fair enough. Small bet on Desperate Hero for me. Keeping an eye on Sweet Memories. And also just probably a nod to Opulence. I think Arctic Thunder ran quite well in the Britannia.
Yeah, they did,
So, great days. It's hard enough getting horses into those races.
And running with,
being away from the pace, it's a horrendous race. I mean, I remember I met Martin Dixon at the races ahead of that, and he said to me, I think it's probably the one race of the year that's the hardest to find the winner of, and I hate it. I hate going. Well, no, I can't remember if he said he hated it, but he said I don't really like having a bet in it because I think it's so unbelievably hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And so they've had to run middling, but I think that's fantastic to get horses into those races, and they look like two nice horses to be going forward with for the rest of the year. And Purasang ran quite well in the King's Stand, to be fair, for a 3-year-old. So again, hopefully some black type for him this year. But again, please do get involved with Opulence Thoroughbreds. The link is below. Please go and see if you want to get involved in horse ownership. They're a great place to start with all the social side that's involved as well. And the last thing, of course, to say is please do like, subscribe, leave your questions. What did you think of Rab's ride? What did you think of Kieran Schumacher's ride?
Who's going to win the Eclipse?
Who's going to win the Eclipse?
What's the best bet this weekend?
Is White Birch going to win the Arc?
What do you want to see from us in future episodes?
Please do.
When are we back? July meeting or
I believe we're back for
King
July
George?
Meeting. July meeting, I imagine.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll be seeing you then. But please do remember to bet responsibly, keep it fun at all times. And we'll see you before Newmarket.